I'm talking with Mr. Brent Cook, and we're talking a little bit about Blackboard and his personal experience and his role here at FORSe Tech. Mr. Cook, tell me a little bit about, well, okay, first let's say, there's a lot of features on Blackboard.
Correct.
Blackboard does a lot. If you had to pick just one feature that's the most important feature to you, what would you say it was?
Gosh, that's going to be tough because really, I don't know if I can pinpoint one feature because really we think of Blackboard as having three basic functions, three basic features that every course is probably going to have. One being assignments, this is where you could submit assignments. One being tests, because obviously if it's an online class, you have to take tests somewhere. You have tests, and then the other is discussion board. So if I had to pick, gosh, it depends on if I want a grade or if I want the experience. Discussion board is powerful in an online class. And the reason I say that is because the discussion board kind of replaces your classroom experience. It mimics the dialogue that you would have in class, the discussions you would have in class. So for instance, everybody has participated in forums before, web forums, whether they're online, not necessarily with classes, but online forums. Reviews on Amazon, those type of things are considered kind of forums where people can put their opinions out there. So Blackboard discussion board is kind of the same thing, where an instructor will maybe give you a prompt, something to talk about, and then you make your post and you respond to it, and then you read your classmates, and then you respond to them, and so that's how the dialogue gets created. That's how you can kind of mimic some of the same discussion you would have in class, have it online.
Now I want to talk more about the discussion board. Let's dive into that. This day and age, everything is basically online now.
Exactly.
So for the students not coming to class, how do you feel that the discussion board, do you feel that it successfully recreates the experience of an in-class learning environment online through Blackboard?
It can. I wouldn't say that it 100% does, but it definitely can. And it really depends on the student. Obviously, I mean, if you just think of a seated class, you're going to have some people that talk more than others. It's just the way it's always been. You got I was the kid that sat in the back and never raised your hand, but you got the kid that sits in the front, answers every question. So you're always going to have that element with the online thing, but the difference with the online thing is that it's a requirement. So most of the instructors will require you to make a post, to make a reply, to maybe make 2 replies. So it kind of forces that. And where people may be shy in a classroom, they don't want to raise their hand up and they don't want to talk freely in class, it's the power of being online. You can do it online and you're not feeling like you're embarrassed because of what you're saying. You can just type it, you still might be embarrassing, but you type it, nobody's going to be, looking at you in class. So I do believe it does a pretty effective way of mimicking the discussion that you would have in class online.
So if you're using a discussion board and you're having a conversation online and you get your degree that way all online, how do you feel that translates into the real world, like being socially awkward because you're used to doing everything online and now in the workplace you're having to interact face-to-face with different people?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of the online degree programs that we have when they get toward the end of it, there's a lot of stuff that's project-based or even group-based to where you may meet with your group virtually in a real-time environment with some sort of web application or maybe a conference call or something. So you still, even though you're online completely, you're still going to have a little bit of personal interaction with some of your classmates and probably some of your instructors. It depends on how they deliver it. A lot of instructors do a lot of stuff with video where they'll video themselves and they may want the student to video themselves and send it back to them. So I feel like that it does translate pretty well to the workplace because there's a big emphasis on making our students work ready. So we place a lot of emphasis on that and give them those experiences to be ready for the workplace.
That makes a lot of sense because, it's very important to have social interaction with different people, and online is kind of taking some of that away with different social sites and social media and things like that.
Exactly.
Now, I want to jump into my next question. If we're talking about Blackboard on a general scale, a lot of people are coming back from they've gone to school 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and now they're having to use Blackboard and these online discussion boards and things like that. So a lot of them may not know how it works. How do you feel that we make it easier for the people to be able to handle doing things online if they've never even used a computer because I know my mother personally, she doesn't know a lot about computers. So I'm having to show her every day how the Blackboard works and how we can really do that kind of thing. So
most of the classes are set up, and Blackboard is a pretty simple interface. It's button driven. It's nothing that's really crazy and hard to figure out. I mean, the discussion boards are in an area that says discussion boards. You click on it, it takes you to the discussion boards. There's big buttons that say create thread or create reply or reply to thread. So everything's pretty button based in there. But for those people that do have some struggles, again, that goes back to what we talked about with the help options that we have here. And there's tons of tutorials that are available online. And those are readily accessible through the help function in Blackboard. So if it's somebody that wants to just go and look at videos on their own, they can. A lot of instructors maybe will put those training tutorial videos in their class to kind of give a little introduction beforehand on the particular area that they're wanting you to work in.
So if we're using Blackboard and we're talking to the instructor, how can we video conference through Blackboard, or
no?
How do people, so they can, still have that interaction with the teacher?
Currently, no, we can't do a video call through Blackboard. Some instructors may want to meet with your student with using some other form of video conferencing, whether it be Skype or some other sort of free thing, or Google Hangouts or something like that. Through Blackboard, the communication is all electronic, meaning it's email or in the discussion board. Most of the instructors will have an area there that is just like an open forum to ask questions. So for instance, if you were having a problem with assignment 4, you could go into the open forum and post a question. Hey, I'm struggling with assignment 4. I can't figure out, where to locate something or other. And then maybe another student can reply back to you. So it'd be kind of like if you were having a conversation after class with your classmates. Hey, did you have any trouble with the assignment 4, finding the information you needed? So that area is always there, but the primary means of communication within Blackboard are email.
So all email. What is usually the turnaround time if we're emailing a teacher straight, like sending a message straight through Blackboard to the teacher? What is generally the turnaround time?
I mean, generally the turnaround time is going to be dependent on the instructor, but for the most part, from what we hear, most instructors, now if it's on the weekend, but during the week, I would say probably next day, and at least next day, most instructors will be pretty good about replying back to their emails.
Will it be something like Facebook where they get a pop-up notification, or is it just?
No, it's just an email. It goes directly into their email account, and that reply email will come into the student email account. That's the way that Blackboard works. Blackboard is just a way to send the email, kind of like when you're on a website and you want to fill out a contact form and you put your email in and you submit it. Then whenever they reply back to you, it comes to your email. Blackboard's the same way. So if you send an email through Blackboard, it just sends it, but it's going to come back to your email, to your FORSe Tech email address.
Right. Well, we're talking about Blackboard with Mr. Brent Cook, and we have a lot more questions for him. We also have some of your questions we're going to ask him in the next segment.